Let me tell you something about Texas dirt. Real Texas dirt. The kind that gets under your nails and stays there long after the sun's gone down. The kind that stains your jeans, fills your boots, and, honestly, probably gives you more of a personality than you had going in. You don't just own this land, it kind of owns you right back. It marks you. Every scar on your knuckles, every splinter you dig out, every late-night storm that rattles the windows and shakes the walls. That's just part of the deal. So when I say I'm the fourth stubborn foster to wrangle these 300 wild acres in the middle of thirsty Central Texas, trust me, that's not bragging. That's just how the story runs out here. Folks call me Lenny, though the paperwork says Leonard Foster. 60 years on the spinning ball, give or take a hard winter. And let me tell you, after this long, the dirt and I, we're basically family. To city folks, this patch of ground is a legacy property. They'll print that right on a glossy brochure, toss in a windmill and a sunset, and jack up the price for some out-of-towner dreaming of ranch life. But for me, it's just home. There's a windmill out back that creaks like it's stuck in a time warp, a dam my granddad built back when dynamite was cheap and insurance didn't ask too many questions, and a front porch that could probably outlast a tornado if you give it half a chance. It's not fancy, but it stands, and, well, so do I. I lived out here by myself for 35 years now. Got real used to the quiet after my wife packed up, took the car, the record player, and honestly, the last few dreams we'd been clinging to. Never remarried. Learned to talk to the land, to the dogs, to the windmill moaning on a cold night. You get good at listening in the silence. Sometimes for coyotes, sometimes for trouble. Trouble, turns out, is a loud teacher. The east side of my place used to be all cedar and brush. Nothing but deer trails and the kind of sunsets you wish you could bottle. Then progress rolled in. Some developer from Dallas decided he'd carve up the wild, pave it over, and call it Lakeview Meadows. And if you're wondering, no, there's not a lake in sight, unless you count my cow pond, which I dug out myself with a backhoe and too much coffee back in '88. Suddenly, there's a parade of cookie-cutter houses, picket fences so white they hurt your eyes, 3 trees per yard, lined up like soldiers in a parade nobody wanted to attend. It was like living next to a movie set, except the actors never left. And, of course, with the subdivisions comes the one thing I always prayed would die out before it got this close: a homeowners association. Yeah, that happened. At first, it was just whispers, letters with fake friendly fonts and blue stamps, all about community growth and shared vision. I burned the first few right in the wood stove. Seemed fitting, honestly. But the letters multiplied like rabbits, and then she showed up in person. Let me back up a sec. Her name's Karen Stillworth. Yeah, really. 33. Hair so bleached you could spot it from a mile away, marching up to my porch in a pantsuit like she owns the census. Now, here's the twist. Karen's my ex-wife's daughter, born a couple years after the divorce. So not my blood, not my problem. Last time I'd seen her, she had that same look, like she was perpetually fighting gravity. This time, she's holding a clipboard and wearing a forced smile, acting like the sun itself owes her an apology. Mr. Foster, I'd love to talk about integrating your property into Lakeview Meadows. Integrating, like I should be grateful to get an invitation to my own funeral. She rattles off all the buzzwords: safety, consistency, oversight. Apparently, my pasture is the last holdout in the march of progress. I lean on the railing, spit off the porch, not at her, just close enough to make the point. This land's been in my family longer than your subdivision's been on Google Maps, I say. She pushes for my signature, promising community funds, legal support, free landscaping, whatever it takes. I tell her I've got my own shovel, my own tractor, and, more importantly, my own damn lawyer. She finally leaves in a black SUV with windows so dark you'd think she was running government ops. I figured she'd be back, and I was right. Next morning, there's a letter nailed, not mailed, to my fence. Notice of expansion. No name, just some soulless corporate stamp and a bunch of legal mumbo-jumbo about jurisdiction. I laughed, ripped it down, tossed it in the burn barrel. But you know that cold feeling when you realize the game's getting serious? I went around and checked every camera, swapped out batteries, even hung a new one up in the old oak by the barn. If things went sideways, I wanted it all on tape. A week goes by, and then I start spotting a blacked-out sedan on the county road. No plates, windows tinted darker than midnight. Just sitting there for an hour, leaving when I let the dogs out. So I left the porch light on, kept the shotgun a little closer. Just in case. Then the warnings start rolling in. First about my granddad's irrigation ditch. It's been there longer than asphalt, but now suddenly it's a health hazard. Letter zip tied to the gate. Next day, 2 guys show up, one with a clipboard, one with a drone. HOA inspection liaison. They're worried about erosion, mosquitoes, aggressive sunlight from my weather vane. No, seriously, aggressive sunlight. I met them halfway with a rake in my hand and my best don't test me smile. You're trespassing, I say. Clipboard guy flashes a card that might as well have come out of cereal box. You got 30 seconds before I call Sheriff Dobbs. You know him, right? Wrestled calves with me in high school. Still stronger than you. They shuffle off, drone buzzing, sulking like kids sent to the principal. That night, I rewired every camera, checked every deed, made sure all my surveys and paperwork were in order. The tactics changed after that. Less confrontation, more neighborly. That's when Brett Miller shows up. Young guy, drives a pickup with a toddler in the back, says he just moved in, asks about goats, fences, brings over a peach cobbler that's store-bought, but at least it's warm. We sit, drink coffee, swap stories. He asks about the dam, the windmill, the cameras. I don't think much of it. Maybe I was just lonely. But a week later, out by the fence, I'm telling Brett a story, and he slips up, says, "Bet Karen lost her mind over that, huh?" Only problem is, I never told him her name. He shrugs it off. Everyone talks about her. But that cold feeling's back. That night, I check the cameras. Brett's truck is around way more than I remember. Once, he's off frame, holding something shiny. Not a phone. Maybe a recorder. So I decide to play along. I start dropping hints that I'm thinking of joining the HOA. Leave some fake documents in the barn. See who bites. Meanwhile, the harassment ramps up. Weekly notices about unauthorized livestock, excessive grass height, offensive odors. Neighbors stop waving. Someone leaves a dead snake in my mailbox. I keep up the act, let Brett think I'm caving. One morning, I spot him leaving with a box in his truck, the exact folder I'd staged. Next day, his house is up for sale. SUVs parked at Karen's. She must have thought she'd won. Thought I was too old, too proud, too tired to fight. But I've been waiting for this game since they poured the first slab. Then, one blue-skied Friday morning, I'm fixing the front gate, and I hear tires. Not the crunch of gravel, but smooth city tires. Black SUV again. Out steps Karen. Same suit, same heels, but this time she's got a pistol at her side and a folder in her hand. Declaration of annexation, she says. Want me to sign. Threatens me with code violations, lawsuits, noise complaints. Her hand's steady on the gun, but her voice is thinner than I remember. Sign it now, or your life turns into a case file. I keep my face calm, take the folder, flip through it. When I sign, I use my father's name, Leonard Thomas Foster. Learned to forge it years ago, just in case. I hand it back. She smiles. Things are about to change around here. Drives off. But the camera in the oak got everything. Her, the gun, the threats, the signature. I back up the footage 3 times. One for me, one for Sheriff Dobbs, one for my lawyer in Abilene who hates HOAs even more than I do. I even send a copy to the county registrar for good measure. Sheriff Dobbs watches the video and just shakes his head. She's got no idea how bad she messed up. By sundown, there's a warrant. Karen, strutting to the county office next day, ready to gloat, folder in hand, gets stopped cold. The registrar spots the signature, my dead father's name, and adds in the video evidence. That's all it takes. She gets detained on the spot. That night, Dobbs calls. She's in custody. Tried to claim I was confused, but then she clammed up. Next day, someone breaks into my barn, takes the tub with the fake documents. Now a federal agent shows up, all business. It's a federal case now. Might be other victims. Turns out there were. 3 more folks came forward, harassed, threatened, scared in his silence. One man's grandkids used as leverage. A woman accused of illegal composting by drone footage. News breaks, Karen's mugshot on TV. HOA or hostage situation, the anchor says. Phones start ringing. Old friends, strangers, people who've been bullied by HOAs, all looking for advice. The sheriff raids the HOA office, finds forged forms, secret recordings, a notebook full of grudges. One line stands out. I'll make Leonard suffer for what he did to my mother. So, that was the real story. Not just power, but revenge. HOA dissolves. State investigation kicks off. Reporters come sniffing. Neighbors who once looked away, now lining up at my gate. I set up a folding table under the pecan tree. Ask me about property rights. By noon, there's a crowd. Law students, old ranchers, young couples, all wanted to know how to stand their ground. Court day comes. Karen sits at the table. No gun now, just a suit and a nervous lawyer. Jury's just regular folks. When they play the video, you could hear a pin drop. Karen breaks under pressure, shouts about family, loss, the past, how I ruined her mother. For hours later, guilty on every count. 12 years, no parole for 8. Lakeview Meadows HOA, gone within 2 weeks. The dust settles, but something's changed. People keep coming by, wanting to learn, wanting to fight back. I put together a little booklet, half joke, half warning, called Not on My Fence Line. Tessa, a law student, moves onto my land, starts an advocacy group, Free Soil Texas. That lemon tree I planted over Karen's last letter. It grows bitter fruit, but it's still healthy. You know, folks ask if I was ever scared when the gun came out, when the neighbors went cold. Truth is, sure, I was scared, but not enough to forget who I am or how to sign my own name or someone else's if it comes to that. So let me throw it to you. What would you have done? Would you fight or fold when the clipboard army comes knocking at your door? Drop your thoughts down below. Share your stories. If you've ever tangled with an HOA, I want to hear about it because out here, we learn together or we get run over one neighbor at a time. If you believe in standing your ground, hit subscribe, share your battles, and let's keep this fence line right where it belongs.